Okay, let's unpack this. Modern dating. It's complex,
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
It can feel like you need, I don't know, a secret decoder ring sometimes just to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, totally. All the unspoken rules, the expectations.
And the constant risk of things just, well, going sideways.
It's a lot. You're trying to connect, but also protect yourself.
Hmm.
It's a tricky balance.
Which brings us right to what we're talking about today, setting boundaries, especially in those really early stages of dating.
Crucial stuff.
Yeah, and we've got some great material here, particularly an article with some really actionable, practical tips for setting those limits from the get-go.
Hmm.
So our aim today really is to help you feel more empowered, to sort of take control of your dating life by understanding and using boundaries right from the start.
Yeah, moving from feeling like overwhelmed maybe
Mm.
to feeling more confident, more secure.
Exactly.
And our mission, well, it's to give you that deeper understanding, why boundaries matter so much, and importantly, how to actually do it. It's not just about dodging bad dates, is it? It's about, fostering better connections overall, looking after your well-being.
So let's get down to brass tacks then. When we say boundaries in dating, what exactly are we defining?
Okay. So at its heart, a boundary is like a personal guideline, a limit, maybe a rule you set for yourself.
Okay.
It spells out what you need, what you want, and just as importantly, what you find unacceptable, what you won't tolerate.
Like invisible lines.
Exactly. Invisible lines you draw to protect your emotional space, maybe even your physical space too.
And this isn't just for people looking for, the serious long-term thing, right? Even casual dating.
Oh, absolutely. That's a
Yeah.
key point. Even if it's casual, these boundaries are still fundamental.
Really? Why is that?
Well, because protecting your well-being doesn't depend on the seriousness level,
Mhm.
You still want connections, even casual ones, to be respectful and positive. The source material really hits that hard.
Okay, this is interesting. The article suggests you're actually communicating boundaries from the very first interaction, like maybe without even saying anything explicitly.
That's such an insightful point, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not always about a big boundary talk later on.
So how does that work?
Well, your initial responses, your behavior,
Hmm.
they send signals. Little clues about what's okay with you and what's not.
Like, how you react if someone sends a weird first message on an app.
Exactly. That example in the article about like a unsolicited explicit picture, that's pretty stark, isn't it?
Yeah.
Your choice, right then, engage, ignore, block that immediately sets a boundary.
Okay, it sets a precedent.
Totally. And it's not just reacting to bad stuff.
Hmm.
The therapist, Jenna Nielsen, who's quoted, she talks about being proactive, setting clear expectations early, asking questions.
Don't be afraid to ask, basically.
Yeah, don't wait.
So boundaries aren't just about stopping bad behavior, but also about being clear on your own stuff, your rules, your choices.
100%.
Mhm.
It starts with self-awareness, really. You have to be
Right.
honest with yourself first. What are my values? What do I really want from dating?
Hmm. If you haven't figured that out.
Then how can you set boundaries that actually work for you?
Yeah.
It's almost impossible. They won't feel authentic.
I like how the article kind of reframes early dating. It says it's less about, like, do they like me? Am I impressive enough?
Yeah, less about seeking approval.
And more about evaluating compatibility, asking, are we actually looking for the same kind of thing here? Do our basic values line up?
That's just so much more empowering, isn't it?
It really is.
It puts you in the driver's seat. You're deciding if you want to invest more based on mutual respect, not just trying to be what you think they want.
Okay, so how do we actually figure out what our boundaries are? Because, sometimes you get caught up in the excitement. It's not always obvious.
That's where that honest self-reflection comes in. You really have to sit with yourself.
And the article stresses it's your boundaries, not what society says, not what your friends think you should want.
Exactly. Your needs, your values, period.
And it makes this helpful distinction between fluid and firm boundaries. Can you unpack that a bit, maybe with examples?
Sure. So a firm boundary. Think of that as non-negotiable right from the start.
Like what?
Okay, say basic respect is huge for you. That's a firm boundary. So any name-calling, any belittling talk, that's an immediate red flag. Boundary crossed. Deal breaker.
Got it. Non-negotiable.
Right. Then a fluid boundary. That might be something that can shift a bit, or maybe you define it more as you go.
Okay.
Like maybe the pace of communication early on. At first, maybe lots of texting feels fine, exciting even.
Yeah.
But then maybe life gets busy, or you just realize, whoa, this is actually too much for me.
Yeah.
That fluid boundary might need to become firmer. You might need to say, hey, I can't text as much during work, or suggest specific times to chat.
Ah, okay. So it can evolve based on how things feel.
Exactly. Recognizing when something that felt okay starts to feel not okay anymore.
That makes sense. The article also had some really good prompts for thinking this through, like asking yourself, am I really looking for casual? Or am I just saying that because I'm scared of getting hurt?
Whew, yeah. Those deeper questions are powerful. They help you get past the surface stuff to what you genuinely want, and therefore what you need to protect with boundaries.
And then it gets into specifics like absolute deal breakers, sexist jokes, constantly being on their phone on a date.
Yeah, those seem like pretty common firm ones for a lot of people, obvious turnoffs. And then there's stuff that just makes you uncomfortable, maybe like flirting heavily with the waiter when you're right there.
Is that firm or fluid?
Well, that could be more fluid initially, maybe. Depends on the context, how early it is.
Yeah.
But if it keeps happening, it could definitely become a firm nope for you.
Okay. And communication preferences too, frequency, texts, verse calls, and then the bigger stuff.
Yeah, the heavy hitters. Views on exclusivity, sexual safety, intimacy.
The article mentions thinking about your soft and hard limits sexually. Even, like, are you okay with sex on a first date?
These are super personal, right? And really important to think about before you're in the heat of the
It's a
moment.
thinking.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you can communicate clearly and confidently when it comes up.
Okay, so you've done the self-reflection. You have some idea of your boundaries.
Hmm.
Now, the communication part, which can feel awkward.
It can, yeah.
Yeah.
But the article really hammers home honesty and taking responsibility here.
Honesty about who you are.
Yeah. Be authentic. If you pretend to be someone you're not, just to please them, you're basically setting yourself up for boundary issues later. It won't work.
And it's on you to communicate them. You can't just expect the other person to guess, right?
Oh, definitely not. Mind reading doesn't work in dating.
Shocking, I know.
Huh. Yeah. So don't wait for a boundary to get stomped on before you say something. Be proactive. Share your preferences, what you're looking for, what's a deal breaker.
This kind of leads into that idea of approaching dating with more confidence, doesn't it?
So
Like knowing your worth, owning your boundaries, it makes it easier to just walk away if someone isn't respecting them.
absolutely. That confidence isn't just like attractive. It's self-protection. If someone consistently ignores what you've said you need, seeing that early saves you a lot of emotional energy on someone who isn't a good match.
Okay, let's talk about those questions the article suggested. For gauging compatibility, it broke them down right. Questions about them as a person and questions about relationships.
Yeah, those are gold. Really useful tools for checking alignment early on.
So asking about like how they spend their free time, goals, social media habits, life values,
Hmm. Gives you real insight into their lifestyle, what's important to them, see if it clicks with yours.
and then the relationship questions. Wow, some felt pretty direct.
They can be, yeah.
Like, what does a healthy relationship look like to you? Monogamy or non-monogamy? What are your deal breakers? How do you define cheating?
And tense maybe for a first date, but think about it.
Saves time later.
Exactly. Having the guts to ask those questions, maybe not all at once, but early on, it can uncover fundamental incompatibilities before you're deeply invested. Saves a lot of potential heartache.
Right. Good point. Now, it's also key to remember this isn't a one and done thing, is it? Setting boundaries.
Oh, not at all. It's definitely an ongoing process.
Even after the first few dates.
Absolutely.
Mm.
As you get closer, new situations pop up, the dynamic changes. You have to keep checking in with yourself.
How am I feeling about this? Is this still comfortable?
Yeah, the article suggests asking yourself things like, what's actually happening between us? Am I okay with it? Are we still on the same page? Where do I want this to go?
Those regular internal check-ins sound really important.
Vital. And if you realize, uh-oh, a boundary got crossed here, then it's back to communication. Open, honest communication.
And the article had a great tip for how to do that. Focusing on your feelings, not blaming.
Yes, that's key.
The phone example was good. Instead of, you're always on your phone, it's rude.
Which just makes people defensive.
Right. Say something like, hey, I feel more connected when we put our phones away during our time together because I really value that focused time.
See the difference? It's about your feeling, your need.
Yeah,
Much easier to hear and respond to constructively.
definitely. Okay, finally, let's touch on social media because that's a whole complex layer in modern dating.
Oh, for sure. It's so integrated into life now, you can't really ignore it in dating. Setting boundaries there is becoming super important.
For your own sanity and for the relationship itself.
Both, yeah.
So, what kind of things should we consider? The article mentioned, like, what's okay or not okay online behavior when you're dating someone.
Right. And phone use during dates, that's a big one for many
What
people.
huge.
Also, how comfortable are you with posting about the relationship or not posting? Are you okay sharing certain kinds of pictures?
And then that murky area of online cheating or micro cheating.
Yeah, that term micro-cheating pops
Yeah.
up. It's kind of fuzzy. But think about things like constantly liking someone else's suggestive photos or having lots of private flirty DMs with other people, hiding online stuff. Even if it's not full-on cheating, it can feel disrespectful or shady, especially early on.
Right. It erodes trust. So, defining those lines, even just for yourself first, is important.
Definitely helps avoid misunderstandings later.
And the advice for setting these social media boundaries sounds pretty similar to the general advice.
It is, really. Talk about it relatively early. Be clear about your own limits. Be honest. Address issues when they come up.
Don't let it fester.
Exactly. And, the article makes a good point. Uh, Everyone has a right to use social media how they want within reason, but
You have the right to decide if their way aligns with your boundaries and values.
precisely. Seeing how someone handles their online life early on tells you a lot about compatibility.
Hmm.
You probably can't change their fundamental habits there.
Okay, so wrapping this all up.
Yeah.
Setting and maintaining boundaries early in dating, it's not about being difficult or rigid,
Not at all. It's actually about self-respect.
and laying the foundation for healthier, more authentic connections. More fulfilling ones, hopefully.
Exactly. It starts with knowing yourself, communicating clearly, and then doing those ongoing check-ins, making sure things stay aligned.
It really drives home that it's a continuous practice, isn't it? Self-awareness, communication, it doesn't stop.
Never stops. The dating world changes, you might change, your needs might shift, but those core skills, knowing yourself, speaking up, they're always relevant.
So, a final thought maybe for everyone listening. Take a second to think. How clearly are you communicating your needs and limits right now in your dating life?
Yeah, good question.
And maybe what's just one small thing, one tiny step you could take next time you interact with someone new to be a bit more aware, a bit more intentional about your boundaries,